Hey everyone, it's Ashley with Fleet Feet, and today we're talking about a brand new trail running shoe collection from the North Face called the Vectiv. It's a pack of 3 different shoes, starting with the Flight, which is the first ever carbon-plated trail running shoe, the Infinite, and then the Endurance. Just so you know, throughout this video, we're gonna go back and forth between a Zoom interview that I had with Michael Thompson. He's the Senior Product Director of Footwear at the North Face. We're also gonna be talking about 2 different models throughout this video. I've been testing the Infinite, which is more of the tempo, speed, kind of shorter, fast training shoe. And a lot of my interview with Mike was focused on the Vectiv Flight, which is the fast, race day, carbon-plated shoe. So before we go any further, let's meet Mike and find out what he does and why he's so psyched about the North Face.
My name is Michael Thompson. I'm the Senior Product Director at the North Face for the footwear category. So I oversee all of performance and lifestyle footwear. I've been in the outdoor industry, I think, since college from retail. Honestly, I had a business background and got into the outdoor industry and found my calling. You know, for us, and from my footwear background, just seeing the advances, as you know, in materials, in technology, innovation, and performance footwear, even just the last 5 years has been amazing. I mean, I think it just re-energized the sport. As you've seen, just a transformational leap in materials, foams, technologies. And I think this plate boom that's happened has really had everyone kind of rethink things. And coming, from the North Face, I mean, we're focused on the mountains, in the trail category and wondering how can we give our athletes a competitive advantage in trail running.
We've written about many of those carbon-plated shoes over the past couple of years. There's a link in the description below if you want to go and read about some of those and find out more. So over the last couple of years, we've seen a pretty big transition in the running shoe industry when it comes to carbon-plated shoes. It seems like every company is making one. But this is so exciting that this is the first ever carbon-plated shoe in the trail running space. Let's start with the North Face Vectiv Flight. Again, that's the race day carbon-plated shoe. And to learn about why the North Face decided to do this and what was the inspiration behind it, we have to first look to the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc. It's a 171-kilometer mountain race that circumnavigates the Mont Blanc Massif. It starts in France in the town of Chamonix in the French Alps and then takes you into the Swiss Alps, the Italian Alps, until you're back to the French Alps. It is a very hard race with steep climbs and steep descents and nearly 33,000 feet of elevation gain. 40% of participants who start the race never finish. And of those who do finish, 40% of those often say they experience a decrease in leg strength. Enter the North Face Vectiv series. This entire lineup was designed to maximize energy return and help athletes run longer.
What if we could give these people that are not only just looking to finish the race, can we give them an advantage, with footwear technology so they can finish stronger, finish faster, and finish with a little bit more, in the tank. And that really sparked this idea of bringing plated technology to the trail run space. We have an innovation center in Annecy, France, in the heart of the Alps. They're exclusively looking at what's next in performance footwear.
So we get that the shoe is really innovative, but what does it really do? First of all, we should note here that the North Face got some really exciting results from a third-party team that validated their hypothesis that the Vectiv Flight would reduce impact on the runner.
We got a third-party lab to test, and we went through a litany of tests with our shoes versus best-in-class competitors as well to say, how do our stack up? And one of the things that really was this big aha moment for us was some of the research finding came back where we saw this 10% reduction in this tibial impact, and this lower leg impact that can lead to injuries, et cetera, that plague runners. That was significant. Typically, you're looking for 1% or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it is, to really extrapolate. And when you start looking at double-digit gains, that's massive.
So let's talk about the design and actual structure of the shoe. Before we go into the other shoes in the lineup, let's talk about the Flight first. Mike says that the combination of the rocker and the carbon fiber plate really helped the shoe to maintain its shape over time. Compared to road versions of a carbon-plated shoe, the Vectiv Flight is a little bit more flexible, and that's to allow for the nimbleness that you need to traverse challenging and technical terrain. The women's and men's versions of this shoe are also slightly different, and Mike's going to tell us why.
One of the things we found was from our testing with our athletes was we actually changed the weave of the forefoot of the carbon for her, changed it about a 45-degree angle to soften it up a little bit even more for her. And that made a big difference. A lot of that had to do with weight and being able to engage that plate in the same way as a man who might outweigh her technically, 30, 40, 50 pounds. And we found by changing the layup and the carbon, and one of the benefits of having that material is you can tune it. It made a big difference, giving that same kind of propulsive feeling without feeling overpowering in terms of the stiffness or the rigidity in the forefoot.
Every shoe in the lineup boasts a 6mm heel to toe drop. That's the differential from where your heel sits and your toes sit. This kind of came from athlete and tester feedback. They tried a lot of different offsets, and 6mm really just felt like the sweet spot. Now about my experience testing. It's a good time to say that I have not yet worn the Flight. I have been wearing the Infinite. But anecdotally, I can say I noticed the stability and the forward propulsion on the trail almost immediately. The North Face talks about stability in this shoe, and that's not something that I felt immediately when I put the Infinite on. But when I got to the trail, I really noticed the rocker and the nimbleness of the shoe with each step. This is maybe anecdotal, but I ran a 13-mile steep run one day, a run I would normally be pretty tired from. I came back the next day, did the same loop again, had a lot of energy left in my legs, and I felt really good. I'm gonna credit this some to the shoes and also hopefully that I'm getting in better trail running shape. But either way, they really enhanced my experience. A couple of things I do wanna call out because I have a pretty narrow heel. When I put the Infinite on for the first time, I felt a little bit of slippage, and I felt that when I was running too. I felt that this was gonna be a problem, but I think because of the booty-like construction and the security around my midfoot, my heel never really slipped during the run. That said, the shoes do run a little large, so it's possible you may want to size a half size down. Also, this is a really good time to mention the traction, because I have been testing this shoe in the winter in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I have to say I have been thoroughly impressed. This time of year here is lots of mud and lots of mornings with icy bridges. I ran over several icy bridges with no problem at all. In fact, I could hear the rubber peeling off of the bridge. Same thing over icy rocks. And that is not something that you find with most trail running shoes. Okay, so now to hear it straight from Mike, why 3 different versions? Why 3 different shoes in the Vectiv lineup? And how do you know which one's right for you?
I look at Vectiv and the Vectiv experience, like how do we give a spectrum of underfoot experiences, right? And I look at the Flight that is like the stripped down race car, right? Like that is where we kind of wanted to build it to this ultimate experience. And, for someone who wants a more responsive ride and is looking to maximize speed and energy return, Flight is their answer and minimize the weight and bulk that you'd find in a traditional shoe. On the other end, we have the Endurus, and for someone that's looking for a plush underfoot experience. And I wouldn't necessarily equate it to, someone who's looking to win a race or finish a race. A great example is, some of our athletes like Dylan who will race shorter races with the Flight, but hey, I'm going into hard rock and I'm going to be on my feet for a long time. I need something that's going to give me a little bit more protection, a little bit more cushioning. The Endurus for anything over 100K is his go-to shoe. And then the Infinite kind of sits right in the middle. It's kind of the best of both worlds, and it becomes so you've got a couple different stack heights on both ends, and then you've got one that's kind of in the sweet spot where it's got it's a balance between cushioning and responsive. And I think all 3 have a reason for being. And I'd say for me as a trail runner, I like all 3 in the quiver, depending on what I'm doing, right? I'm going to go do a tempo day. I'm going to bring the Flight, but I feel beat up and I'm just going for an easy Sunday run. I'll bring the Endurus, but my workhorse is the Infinite.
All right, you want to try these shoes for yourself, you can visit fleetfeet.com. There's a link in the description below to buy a pair now online. They're also available in select Fleet Feet locations around the country. And finally, you all, just because I have raved about these shoes this entire review, that doesn't mean they're going to be right for you. They may be, but they may not. Have you been into Fleet Feet and been fit for shoes yet? If not, I really recommend it. Through the combination of our expert outfitters and our Fit ID outfitting technology, we can help match you up with the perfect selection for your feet. And who knows, maybe these will be the right shoes for you. Want more information about our outfitting process? There's also a link for that in the description below. Or you can watch the video that's up here somewhere next about how our outfitting process works. Thanks you all, have a great week, enjoy your runs, and see you next time.